Okay, we're going ahead and we'll get started. And thank you for joining us for the Monday briefing. And this briefing will carry us to the end of the month of June. I can't believe the month has just flown by, and 4th of July is right around the corner. And we are certainly getting the DSS request for July 4th activities. And if you have activities and you're like, well, what is this decision support that you mentioned? Email us. Send us a message in chat, and we'll fill you in. But basically what it is, we basically are doing a weather monitoring for your location. If we see any kind of bad weather heading your way, we can give you a one-on-one call and give you some details in terms of timing. And so like it's becoming a very popular service that we offer. And like I said, we do this for pretty much all related activities, indoors, outdoors. It can be January, it can be in the middle of July. So again, if you have any questions, chat us, or you can always email Nick, and we'll be happy to fill you in. So again, thank you for joining the Monday weekly briefing. And there's going to be a general theme to this briefing, and that's going to be continuation of heat. And so we are going to have some small, little brief, short-lived periods of some relief. That will be the difference between this upcoming week and what we had last week. And what will provide that relief is some weak cold fronts. And so basically, we're looking at the very first front. That front is moving through as we speak. Right now, there's very little showers or any thunderstorms. There's one little small area going across near the South Carolina, North Carolina border. But what we do expect is for showers and storms to start to fill in and develop kind of across the eastern third of our forecast area. So I would say basically the I-95 corridor. We certainly would have some showers even in the US 1 corridor, but you're going to be dry in the triad. And those should start to develop around lunchtime. And the bulk of those showers and storms will be across eastern North Carolina, and they should be exiting the area probably around 7 o'clock. Could be pretty scattered, so we're not expecting a lot of relief in terms of the dryness we're currently experiencing. And so that front moves through, and so Tuesday we'll have a break from the heat, but we then have southerly flow redevelops on Wednesday, and we're going to get hot once again. And in fact, Wednesday looks like it's going to be our hottest day for the next upcoming week. We're looking at temperatures basically 95 to 100. We actually hit triple digits at Raleigh yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 100 again on Wednesday. And then we're going to have another front that's going to move through late Wednesday night and into Thursday. The most of that rain on Thursday looks to be behind the front, and most of that looks to fall after midnight Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And again, we're not expecting a whole lot of rain from that. Right now, it looks like we may have 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch possible, highest across eastern North Carolina. We'll have a brief cool down again behind that. When I say cool down, I'm not talking about like in the 80s. I'm talking about more like in the low 90s. But the big difference will be the humidity. We're going to have the lower humidity for about a day. And then we warm right back up over the weekend. We have the upper ridge comes back over eastern or across the eastern United States. And while we won't be as hot in terms of the dry bulb temperatures on Saturday and Sunday, the dew points are going to be a lot higher. We'll see mostly low to mid 70 dew points. So we combine that with mid 90 temperatures, and we're going to see very similar heat indices that we saw on Wednesday. So Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday looks to be the hottest period in terms of heat indices in the next coming week. And Sunday, very late Sunday, the timing's still a little uncertain. Some of the models even show it could be delayed until Monday. We're going to have probably the strongest front that we're going to see this week goes through Sunday. That would be our best chance of seeing widespread area-wide showers and storms, and maybe a little bit higher rainfall amounts, maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And, given how dry it is, we'll take whatever we can get. So behind that cold front, going a little bit past our Sunday period, we'll see another brief cool down on Monday. So you can kind of see what the theme is here, right? So real quick, this is the experimental heat risk graphics, and I've added some notes here on the side, and I wanted to basically show you what our heat risks are, the three hottest days. Again, that's Wednesday and Saturday and Sunday. You can see for the most part, we're in that orange range with some blips of red. And this is a new tool we use for heat, and it's taking into account cloud cover, it's taking into account wind, it's taking into account how warm or how cool we get at night. Is there an opportunity for us to recover at night if we get down into the 60s? Because when you get into a hot spell, it's those really warm nights. When you combine that and you're still, like this morning's low at Raleigh was 80 degrees. When your low is only 80 degrees, there's not a lot of chances to get some relief. Okay, so it factors in all of that. So you're going to see us using this more and more. And so basically what this means, now here's the notes up here in the top, is when you see the oranges, that's kind of like, it's kind of expected heat, but it can still be dangerous for those people who are especially sensitive and vulnerable, especially those that don't have effective cooling. When you get into the reds, that's going to be most of the population that's going to be impacted and can have hazards to the heat. And then when you get into the purples, that's the entire population. So basically that's the gist of this. And so you can see we're basically going to be in the orange and reds on those 3 days. And since you have consecutive days on Saturday, Sunday, I'd probably say those are probably our time where, when you're thinking about who's going to be impacted by the heat, what can I do to minimize and mitigate that heat? It's going to be that consecutive days over the weekend. Looking at our severe thunderstorm potential, basically right now, the best chance we have for severe storms over the next 6 to 7 days is this afternoon, and that's going to be mostly in that I-95 corridor. Okay, wouldn't be surprised if as we get closer to Thursday or Sunday, we might see a marginal. But given that we're kind of in the middle of summer, shear is generally going to be weak, and our severe threat is going to be very isolated. Looking at our rainfall amounts, and I've already kind of talked about this, but you can see that we're basically focusing on this afternoon in the upper left, again on late Wednesday night in the Thursday in the lower left are our best chances, and then we'll have another one as we get into late weekend and into Monday. When you all combine it, I think we're going to probably end up seeing over the next several days maybe a tenth to a quarter in the west, maybe a quarter to half inch in the east. And you got to think that over the last 7 days, we haven't had any measurable rain at any of our climate sites, which is Raleigh, Greensboro, and Fayetteville. And as you know, anyone who can see and look at the lawns that are getting brown and stressed out there, it's been really, really dry. Of course, there's no we don't have any risk of flooding or excessive rainfall. Here's our drought graphic, and you can see in the lower portion of this slide how we have really expanded the yellow areas. In fact, they're calling this the rapid onset of drought. So when you take a combination of not getting much rain in 2 weeks, and then you have an extended period where you're getting into the lower to mid and upper 90s, it doesn't take long to build that drought. So we've definitely seen that. Again, the tropics are quiet. We did have a couple of storms, one that went into Mexico and brought some rain to like parts of the eastern parts of Texas and Mexico. And then we had another system earlier last week that was trying to develop out into the Atlantic, and it ended up being a very weak low pressure system that moved on to the Florida East Coast. But right now it's quiet for the next several days. Looking ahead, looks like we're in this pattern where we're going to have what we call the subtropical ridge that for the most part is going to be a mainstay. It might basically a tropical ridge that likes to oscillate back and forth, move east and west, usually across anywhere from like the western U.S. out into the Atlantic. And right now we're seeing it where it's basically, you know, meandering between the central and southern plains and then moving over to the southeast U.S. And that's kind of the pattern we're in. So we still expect to see above normal temperatures as we get into week 2. In terms of rain chances, at 33 to 40%, I would be surprised if we end up seeing that, we don't see most of the area near or below normal, to be honest with you. Another looking at the week 2 period, well, what's going to be our hazards, what's going to be our risk? And if you look at the lower left, and I apologize, I didn't put a legend or key there, but in the upper left here, what we're looking at is basically the risk of excessive heat. That's a slight to moderate risk. And then on the right hand side, we're seeing the risk of a continuation of a rapid onset of drought. Again, looking at what are going to be the impacts, what are going to be the hazards, and you can see the things that are really lighting up here. And you're looking at the excessive heat is going to be our main threat over the next several days. So in summary, you know, generally hot conditions will continue. We will have, you know, a brief, short-lived relief in terms of some weak fronts that will bring some lower humidity and a little bit of rain chances. And if you're one of the few that can get underneath a strong core and you actually can see like maybe a ½ inch to inch, you're going to be very lucky, because for the most part, you know, we're expecting overall pretty light precip amounts over the next week. Our hottest days are expected to be Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And during those times, we're expecting heat indices basically in the upper 90s across the northwestern Piedmont to about 100 to 105 across central and eastern North Carolina. And because of these continued hot conditions and very little widespread rainfall, you know, we're going to expect that the drought will continue to intensify. So, you know, this is that time of the year. You know, this is where, you know, you identify groups of people that are especially sensitive to heat. We need to make sure we maintain our checks on them, and trying to think ahead and try to, you know, plan and make the steps to mitigate that heat. So